Hi, this is Stephanie Hansen, and happy holidays. Thank you for listening to the Makers of Minnesota podcast. We really appreciate all the support of our makers and all of our listeners that have been listening to us for over the last 3 years. As a way to say thanks, before we air our next podcast with 3 sisters who call themselves the Lonetti Sisters, who make a meatball mix based on their grandfather's recipe, we're going to give you a promotional code that you can use to get the Lonetti Sisters Meatball Mix in a You Betcha box. The Lonetti Sisters Mix comes in 2 boxes. It comes in the Ultimate Foodie Sota box, which is the grandest box that You Betcha box has. It is a Fox River lunch bag wax covered tote that's so gorgeous, and it has over 17 Minnesota-made products inside it. And when you go ahead and you order it at youbetchabox.com, if you use the promotional code STEPH10, you save $10 off the Ultimate Foodie Sota box. If you also want to try the Lonetti Sisters mix in the Minnesota Meat Raffle box, you can save $2 by using the promotional code STEPH2. Thank you for supporting Makers of Minnesota. Please use these promotional codes as our gift to you, and thanks for listening. Now on to the Lonetti Sisters podcast. Hi, this is Stephanie Hansen, and you are listening to the Makers of Minnesota, where we talk to cool people doing cool things. And today I have a full house. I have 3 sisters. They're Lonetti Sisters. And it is Anne, Steph, and Katie. We laughed because I came from a group of 4 girls, and we're all sitting around my dining room table. So it feels kind of like it would if you were at a family meal. I think I ran into you first, Katie. Correct? No, Stephanie. See, I'm going to do this the whole time.
No, that's okay. People always call us the wrong name, so you're right.
Our whole
you're perfect.
life.
Yeah.
Steffi, Katie, Anne. So we're just the girls.
Yeah. Or you just go down the list and name everyone so that you've got all your bases covered.
Yes.
That's what my dad would do. I think I ran into you first maybe at the Minneapolis Farmers Market Exposition, where you were sampling some meatballs there.
I don't even recall.
Yeah,
that.
I think that's where I first saw you, and I thought, oh, this is really interesting that they've taken this family recipe for seasoning and turned it into something that you can use with meatballs. But you guys are doing a lot more with it than just meatballs, and not to say that meatballs isn't enough, because we talked earlier, like, who couldn't eat meatballs every day?
Grandpa's meatballs are amazing.
Yeah.
Your grandpa started making these meatballs. I was fascinated by the fact that he had a kitchen in the basement.
Mm-hmm. So cool. Yeah.
Why did he have 2 kitchens?
It was messy. It was like one of those old white enamel oven stoves in the basement.
Yeah.
And because he fried his meatballs, so it made a lot of mess. And they lived in just a small house on the east side, so their kitchen was really tiny, actually. And when you put a bunch of Italians in this house, I mean, he had 6 sons. Our dad was one of 6 sons.
In a tiny house.
Yeah, in a very tiny house on the east side. They kind of needed the kitchen in the basement. Yeah,
sure. So do you remember going to Grandpa's house and eating these meatballs? Who wants to tell a story about that?
We would all gather in the basement. They would line up tables. And so there were 6 brothers, and each brother on average had, 4 to 5 kids. So we have a lot of cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would throw the cousins in the basement, and we would all just hang out and just get into trouble.
And eat
it was
meatballs.
a good time. And eat meatballs. Yes.
Yep. Did he serve them with, tell me about how your grandpa made his traditional meatballs, because it is a little different than how people maybe make them today.
Yeah, he did. Well, one thing that's different, he made sauce too. He was a great cook. But everything was always on the side. So the meatballs were on the side too. So when he made his sauce, he would cook his sauce like all day long with country back pork ribs in it and actually pepperoni. And then after it was done, he would pull that stuff out and serve it on the side. And so you'd have a real smooth tomato sauce. Mm-hmm. And then the meatballs would be fried. So that was that nice contrast to the really falling apart pork. It was just an awesome meal.
And did he serve the pork then alongside the sauce and the meatballs? And
yeah. Okay. So you usually had 3 meats. You had a big chunk of pepperoni and some pork, and then the crunchy meatballs.
Yum.
And always the the bread,
Yeah.
the crusty bread we
Yeah.
grew up on.
From
Did
Roma
he-
Bakery. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it was bakery bread. It wasn't
Yeah.
something that...
The old Roma. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you guys are sisters. What made you decide to go into business together? Because you probably thought, oh, we're going to make this meatball mix. It's going to be so fun. And then now you're in like this full-blown business, right?
Yes. Anne, do you want to say
well,
something?
I would say, like, I always wanted to invent something
Yes.
or have a product of some sort. And I guess like the glow in the dark bubbles didn't go very far.
I knew you were going
I
to bring
didn't.
that up.
I didn't take that very
sounds
far.
cool.
Because it already got invented. She'd
Well,
always be
but
like, dang it.
I come up
my
with,
idea.
Yeah, I come up with the idea beforehand, but then So we had been
We
talking.
would sit around and all talk about things we wanted to like create or invent. It was like a game.
Yeah.
Did you come from entrepreneurial parents?
No, I wouldn't say so, but we consider Grandpa an entrepreneur because
Right.
he had the shoe repair business. But yeah, so we were just together and like we had talked about maybe packaging the meatball mix prior years, but then when we got together, what was it, about a year? It'll be 2 years ago this January.
Yeah,
is-
January 2018.
Yeah, when we said we would stop talking about it and let's actually do it. So
And did you all put money in the kitty and
Yep.
this is what we're going to start with? And
yep,
We did.
we came pretty close to our original estimate and had to hike it up a couple $100 more, but
Yep. So how much did you put into it to start? Do you remember?
I think it was 2,000 each.
Yeah, that's about...
Yep.
Yep.
I would have thought about maybe around 10 is usually what it takes to sort of start.
Yeah.
And you made your mix, you had your packaging, and then how did you think you would sell it?
Did we know? I have no idea.
Well, we all had different hopes and dreams. I was like, I just want to like this big online store where we're just shipping meatball mix everywhere, you
Yep.
know, and that seemed kind of less labor intensive. But then there was other dreams of we want to be, you know, in the local grocers here and stuff. So we're
I
kind
think-
of doing a little bit of everything now.
Yeah, I think we always thought grocery store. But then along the way, while we were creating the product and finding the packaging and the resources, met people along the way and found our direction.
Can you tell me specifically about a conversation you had with another maker that was like, wow, okay, wow, that was eye-opening?
Well, the person I met, her name is Kayla Yang Best.
Mm-hmm.
You may be familiar with her. She
Seasoned
owns
Specialty Foods.
Yeah, on Grand Avenue. So I met with her before the store even opened through a mom friend and told her all about our meatball mix and wanted to know if we could get on the shelf in her store, wanted to learn about what she was doing. And she said yes. She wanted to have us join the store. What she does there is a really interesting concept. It's a business concept that she created called co-retailing. So we've been a part of the store since it opened. I actually worked for her the first year and a half the store was open. I just wanted to immerse myself in the food maker world, and I learned so much and met so many food makers.
Yeah.
And everyone is so generous with their time and their opinions and their help. We've been amazed by that. Just the other night, Ann and I met the maker of Annie B's caramels.
Sure.
At a tasting we did.
Sure.
And we were sampling next to him and just chatting, and we asked him, like, what kind of advice could you give us? And the next day we received the longest email from him, just telling us that he enjoyed meeting us and he wanted to support us. and-
Encouraging.
Yeah. It was
Yeah, we've had him on
really
the podcast.
great.
Henke, Josh Henke
Yes,
is his name.
yes. Thank you. So we have run across just a ton of other food makers. Everyone is so supportive.
When you look at where you want to take this sauce or this spice mix, and I'm assuming that there are potential ideas to grow it, right, beyond the spice mix. So have you looked at sauce? Have you looked at bread packaging with seasonings and all of the line of foods that you could get into with this 3 Lonetti Sisters brand?
We struggle with that a little bit.
Tell me about that.
Well, my sisters, Ann and Katie, they both work full-time. They have
Yes.
full-time career positions that They work 40 plus hours a week. I kind of am a jack of all trades, master of none. I do a lot of different things.
Sure.
And I have more time. They don't have that kind of time to invest in the company right now. So when we come together and have that conversation, I can say generally we agree on everything. Like when we have our meatball minute meetings, we're always on the same page. Packaging, ingredient, like we always agree. But the future of the company, we just don't know. I don't, what do you guys want to say about that?
I agree with that. And even like you're saying, like expanding into sauces, etc. I don't even know if we necessarily need to do that. Like, I don't think we've even scratched the surface with the actual meatball. It's only been like a year with the mix. So we had asked Josh that same question, like, can you be successful with one product? And he gave the example of Dot's Pretzels. So I don't know. We meet in January. We'll tell you in January because we'll have our annual planning session then, and we'll figure out what's in store. So
we're a family of project managers.
Yeah.
And it may be just an evolution, right? So tell me about the meatball mix itself. Like, why is it special? Because I had some meatballs that you made for me. It does taste very Italian, but it's more than that. It's more than just sort of that fennel, salty, meaty flavor. It's a little spicy. It's kind of a complex, savory seasoning, I think.
It's got a lot going on.
I mean, what's special about it to us is because that is our exact grandfather's recipe. And so that's what we wanted our product to be and to share with people.
Yeah.
Because you knew it was so good.
Yeah, exactly.
And
we grew up eating those meatballs. It's been a family recipe for 50 years.
And he makes the meatballs differently because you were saying he fries them.
Yes.
A lot of people make meatballs now and bake them. Do you use or do you recommend all different ways of making meatballs?
The three of us usually bake them. And that's just for like convenience and health reasons, really. But for special occasions, we fry them, and we absolutely love them fried. Our spices are organic. We have gluten-free breadcrumbs, which the gluten-free community greatly appreciates.
Because there's not a lot of mix that's gluten-free.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
So
exactly
people-
what we've
yeah.
heard. Yeah. So that's been really great.
How much is the mix?
Katie's
Typically $19.99 for a jar and $7.99 for a bag.
And the jar was kind of a large jar, and it was layered.
Yes.
It's a 16-ounce jar.
I actually loved the way it looked, but my thought was when I saw it, I wonder how they package this and if it's a real pain in the ass.
Not anymore. We used to do it. We don't have to do it anymore.
The spices and breadcrumbs are layered sand art style. So you know the era we grew up in.
Yeah.
Good old 70s sand art. And we did for the first year hand pack it ourselves. And we used kraut packers and actually tamped down the spices. Now we do have a co-packer, Smoothie Sunflower Oil, and we have a fabulous relationship with them. They've been so good to us.
They're a great family.
Tom has been open to answering any questions and helping us as a small business. And Doug Vernig is our contact person, and he's just been generous.
When you buy a jar, about how many meatball servings does that make?
61-ounce meatballs.
Yeah.
Okay. So 60 meatballs. So you use a lot of spice per ratio to meat mix.
Yeah.
Yes. And, every time I make them, I have that same thought in my head. Like I did a one batch bake before I came here this morning. And I put my meat in, and then I open up my bag, and I'm shaking. I'm like, oh, my gosh, that is a lot. But, you get your hands in there, and you start mixing it. It just makes sense. You have to keep in mind those are the breadcrumbs as well. It's not just seasoning.
Sure.
Right.
It's the whole thing. So it does seem like a lot, but they're fabulous.
What was the most surprising part about this journey, each of you individually? Like, was there something you learned, or like, wow, I never thought this would be that hard? Or were the things easy that you thought would be hard, or vice versa?
For myself, I was an elementary school teacher, and then I currently do design work and house renovations. Stepping into this arena of food makers and just everything that I've learned about packaging and ingredients and sourcing and communicating with other people and all the people we've met, I guess I just never knew I could do all those things.
Yeah.
You know, creating a website.
You figured it out.
Yeah, you just get on and you just do it. And
I think
connecting with people, you just keep reaching out to them. You keep asking questions, and it just works.
And when you're bootstrapping a business, I mean, you really don't have choices. You don't have $10,000 to give to a website developer. So you just kind of got to figure things out.
And that we have. And we lean on each other. I think advantage of being the three Lonetti sisters, from talking to other food makers, we have each other. If we have a bad day or we just want to bounce an idea off of someone, we are constantly texting and emailing each other. And I've heard from other food makers that they sometimes feel very isolated.
And lonely. Yeah.
And lonely. We have never felt that way. This business has brought us much closer as sisters. I think as we grew up and got married and had kids, we kind of went in our own directions.
Sure.
You know, we had soccer and soccer and soccer. And
I still have soccer and soccer and soccer.
I do too, but Ann doesn't.
I
All
don't.
our kids played soccer. We've been on the soccer field a lot. But this venture has brought the three of us really close. It's been great for that reason. If we're not here next year or 2 years from now, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah. That's nice. So there's been the whole unexpected bringing together of the sisters again.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe in that way.
Definitely.
Are there, so you use the seasoning in meatballs. You also on your website have used it in other applications, I noticed.
Yep.
How else do you use it? You use it for like pizza seasoning
Yeah, you
and
can.
garlic bread?
Like on a bread, super easy. On potatoes, like roasted vegetables. You know, because sometimes you even put those breadcrumbs on stuff to make it crunchy. You know?
Yes.
So it's kind of nice to have that in the mix, and you just sprinkle on.
Yeah, so more versatile.
Yeah.
What is do you have like a long-term goal? Like you're getting into Kowalski's, it sounds like.
We are
We are.
in Kowalski's currently since September.
Aren't they great at supporting local makers?
Yeah, they're amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean that they will take in a lot of these products and help people understand how to package them and give advice about what it needs to look like on the shelves. You mentioned that like taking over the internet, do you guys get into like SEO search and all of that type of Facebook marketing? And
We're very new in that.
Right. Time permitting.
Yes, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
do you each have individual delineated roles in the company?
Somewhat.
Yeah, pretty
Yep.
much.
Yep.
Yeah.
So tell me who does what.
I keep track of the bank account.
I could have guessed that.
So I know that Steph went to Kowalski's and bought something today because I get a text message comes up every time you use the card.
I bought the meat
Yeah,
that I made the meatballs with an hour ago.
Yeah.
So I try to keep track of that. I took on QuickBooks, something that I've never done before, and trying to learn how to do that. Try to make that part of the business more efficient.
Yeah, and
And-
that's a hard thing to learn.
Yes.
I do work for a bank, so I do have a background in it. But it's a new tool, but I think it's awesome.
Yeah, once
Yeah.
you master it, and it really
Yeah.
can do a lot for small business people.
Yeah.
Anne is our project manager.
Okay.
She likes spreadsheets.
Yes.
She likes lists, but we really all do
All-
because we're all wired like that.
Yeah.
But she leads that effort. She keeps us beautifully organized.
Thanks, Steph.
All right, and Katie, what did you say your role is?
I usually just bring the wine. No,
Are you the middle?
Yeah, no, I'm the youngest.
Youngest, okay.
Yeah, we have an older brother too. So there's 4 of us, and I'm the youngest.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do the social media. So I do our social media accounts, and I guess you'd say like some of the marketing and pricing. And I was lucky, like, because of what I do being in the wine and spirits industry, I was able to bring a couple relationships in that have helped us a lot. Like
Graphic designer.
our graphic designer, the guy who does all our printing work, like our labels and
Sure.
stuff. So that's kind of my wheelhouse.
Yep, you
Yeah,
had that as
yeah.
your, and
Yeah.
then I see you, Stephanie, at sampling and
Yeah.
Yep. I kind of, I just do everything else.
Yeah.
Anything else that needs to be done.
Yeah. The
I'm
day
in
to
the
day.
middle. Like I sourced everything.
Top sales.
For I found our spice supplier, our breadcrumbs, our gluten-free breadcrumbs. That was quite the search.
Tell me about that. Was it hard to find someone?
Really hard to find someone. We really wanted to find someone in St. Paul, and I contacted and spoke directly to a lot of local bakeries, and they just couldn't do it for us.
Right.
So we found a maker in Wisconsin, Green Bakery. We work with Jake there, and talk about being fabulous. He has been great to work with.
And he ships you up the breadcrumbs.
He does, yep. He's been with us since we started producing. We've switched spice companies, again, wanting to be local, but how can you really be local with spices?
It would be really incredibly hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And gosh, I don't know. What else do I do? I mean, I do
The
all
samplings,
the little
networking.
Details, the
Yeah.
samplings
She does a lot of the
and
networking.
Sure.
ton
the
of networking.
networking, definitely.
Who makes the sales calls to the grocers?
I
Usually
do. I
staff.
initiate, and then usually a sister that can get away from the office will come with me for support.
To do the presentations and
Yeah.
what do you want people to know about starting a company if they're sitting at home thinking about it? Was it harder than you thought? Easier?
Super rewarding, lots of details to be on top of all the time.
Yeah.
A lot.
Did you know social media before you took it upon yourself to do this?
No, not a ton. No.
Right.
I just have like a fitness group on social media that I would run.
How important do you think it is to be there in that space?
I think it's important. I think I feel like Instagram, you get most bang for your buck on.
Do you guys get orders right off of it?
No, not currently. We're not set up that way. We just started doing online orders maybe like 2 weeks ago. Schmootie's doing it for us. So if you go to their website, you can order our stuff online.
I noticed that actually.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
doing something with him and
Yeah.
I noticed you were on his website.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Pros and cons of being in a family business. Are there any cons?
I guess I haven't.
I mean, there have been times that we've worried that this could risk our relationship.
Tell me about that because
If
of course
things
it could.
didn't go well.
Yeah, if you don't agree and someone wants to go all crazy and make sauce and
Well,
Right,
and I
yeah.
think that's kind of part of it because they both have their career positions that keep them very busy. And I have more time, and I'm constantly throwing things at them saying, we could do this, we could do that. And
Right.
they're like, slow down, like, let's just focus on Kowalski's. And I'm like, but we could go to this show in New York or, California. Or we could
and maybe at some point you will. Like maybe
Yeah.
you'll take on more of that kind of a role or you'll change up the percentage. I mean,
Yeah, and I think then, because then I feel like I do a lot of what happens because I can. I mean, if these two weren't working full time, they would be right next to me.
sure.
So then I sometimes maybe feel a little put off, the middle sister, like just
Yeah.
it's landed on me and I have to do everything.
Oh, that's what it was. Get off the cross. We need the
Yeah.
wood, the martyr. Have you heard that before?
Yes, yes.
So
and that's
funny.
what it kind of comes down to with the two of them. They
Yeah.
listen, but
Are there other local products that you admire? We talked about Smoothie. We talked about Kayla Best.
I'm friends with one of the owners of Darlene Pickle Dips.
Uh-huh.
And she was super helpful when we started. I had a few lunches with her and got a lot of great advice. And I just love her product. We bring one of those tubs home and it's gone in like
That
10
pickle
minutes.
dip, we've
So good.
podcasted with them too, and it's delicious.
Yeah.
And it was funny because when they started, I'll be honest, I couldn't really get a sense of whether it was kind of a hobby business or whether they were going to kind of go all out on it.
Right.
And they have gone all out.
Yeah. I think they're going to be in Target soon.
Yeah.
I think.
They
Yeah.
really, I think maybe it surprised them even
Yeah.
how much they got into it. And,
Right.
Because I think we met them pretty early on.
Yeah.
When you tell people about your grandpa, what do you say about him as an individual other than just that he was a cook? And
Oh, man. Well, he was the most caring, awesome guy ever. He was just an amazing soul. He really was.
yeah, it sounds like he had a
Yeah.
lot of kids, grandkids,
Yeah.
people that
Just a big heart.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
just a big softy.
Yeah.
Kinda under it all.
Right.
Like an emotional Italian.
Yeah, he would cry a lot at parties.
That was the wine.
Just like our dad.
There might have been some wine involved.
Yeah.
That's funny. Is your
Exactly.
dad kind of a sensitive guy?
Yes.
He is now.
Oh yeah.
Yes. No, he has. Our mom is
The toughie.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
A lot of those Italian moms are the toughie. That's funny. Someone told me once, because my husband cries at movies, and they were like, yeah, that's how men can get their emotions out. It's okay to cry at a movie, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Oh,
all right.
funny.
Well, it's been really a pleasure to talk with you guys about your spice mixes. What's next? Anything that you want to talk about that's coming up for holiday or?
This is just our busy time of year,
Yeah.
like just hitting the ground running. We have a fun event coming up at Dark Horse in St. Paul, if you're familiar with them. That's
I
a
sure
good
am.
friend of ours, Patty Whalen. So we're having on Small Business Saturday a little party there. They have bingo and a meat raffle.
Fun.
So we're going to be giving away some spices, selling spices. And then Patty's going to be featuring a bunch of menu items with our meatballs. So like his meatball pizza will be with our meatballs.
Oh, great.
And yeah. So
It's a great stocking stuffer. And
Yeah,
just
for
the
sure.
bags for sure.
Yeah, the bags would make great stocking stuffers. Our jars would make great gifts.
Yeah.
For that hard to shop for person.
Hostess
a hostess
gift.
gift
Yeah.
with Thanksgiving and the
Yeah,
other
I didn't even
holidays
think about
coming
that.
up.
That would make a perfect hostess gift. And you could wrap it up in a little like a tea towel and
Yeah.
It's just so unique. Visually, it's beautiful.
the design is really pretty.
And it's local.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. It is the 3 Lonetti sisters. It is the 3 Lonetti Sisters spice mix for all of your meatballs. We had it before we got on the air today with pork. We had it with turkey. We had it with beef. It was a very, very delicious. And I am a meatball connoisseur, so I want you guys too to put it in like prepackaged meatballs. I want you to like
yeah,
partner
we
up
didn't
with
even bring
Simics
that
and yeah, because I think
the thought has crossed our mind because all those meatballs you always see prepackaged in the grocery store. Have you ever bought those? They're not.
a lot of them are not that good, and I think you could.
Don't even know why they have Italian on the label.
Yeah, there's that
Yeah.
one brand you see everywhere, and every time I see it, I'm like, I want that to be our sticker on there.
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, we have contacted one meat co-packer and he turned us down.
Yeah.
So it's again just finding that connection and the right person.
Well, it won't be long, ladies. I
Yeah.
have a feeling. They were very delicious. Thanks for being our guest today.
Thanks
you.
for having us.